You all recently recorded the Miracle EP in Woodstock, and that writing slash recording session kicked off with you all sharing what the mission statement is for the band. What is it that you hope listeners take away when they listen to your music? What has been that driving force behind the band?
It's a great question. I think this EP for us is we're calling it True Tours. It's like a sound that we're so proud of because it captures these two sides of us where we're a touring band, so it gets a lot of like the grit and the live feel that we have when we're on stage, but it's also capturing sort of the emotion that's it's sometimes easier to find in the studio when you can sort of really get into a song and just sing it, and it's not just you've got that 3.5 minutes on stage. So, just want it's an EP full of hope, full of like honesty, and it's definitely the piece of work we're most proud of.
Great answer. When you think of music overseas, you think of places like London. What is it about Devon and that community that's impacted your journeys as storytellers and artists?
Yeah, so I mean, growing up in Devon, it's such a kind of vast and wild landscape down here. And I think a lot of the environment that we've been in has kind of influenced our lives and our music in general. So we live in a sort of totally rural area. It's nothing but kind of rolling hills forever. And even our band name Tours comes from these rock formations on this national park called Dartmoor that we'd go and explore when we were children. So I think for us, it's a kind of spiritual place, and it feeds into our music in a way. And we try and let the music kind of be kind of wild and sparse and reflect that a little bit, I suppose.
In your song, Anything Can Happen, you all talk about celebrating the small victories. Having been a band for almost 10 years now, what's been the victory that stands out the most for each of you?
Wow,
That's
the thing
tricky.
that stands out. I mean, I think I have to just go off like recent things for me because it's been so amazing. But I think when we came out and toured the States for the first time last month, that was just a moment that blew my mind because we weren't sure if people were going to come. We weren't sure if people were interested, but the tickets for the shows all sold out in a day. And we were like, this is weird. And when we flew out, we landed in Sacramento, well, San Fran, but we went to Sacramento and we were walking around I think it's called Target. Is it a big superstore,
Mhm.
Target? And
Yeah.
literally, as we're walking around, these people came over and they're like, "Oh my God, your tours were such big fans, and your music's helped us." And it was a moment where I was like, "Wow, like this is crazy. The reach that that song, Anything Can Happen, has had. It's definitely one that's going to stay with me for a long time."
Yeah, and then I mean, for me, it's got to be we just played Glastonbury for the first time. We played on the BBC stage and another stage, and that was kind of like a pinnacle moment for me because that's again being a local festival, but also just the biggest UK festival. That was something really, really special for us.
You guys are actually incredible live. You would the music you release is like fantastic, but usually sometimes when you go see artists live, it's like not as good, but I think it's even better live in a live setting. And that Mercury Lounge was
Oh,
packed to the
Thank you.
brim.
Thank you. Thank you for coming to the show.
Yeah. I was so excited to see you guys come to the States. Usually for like UK bands, it takes a little while before they make their way over. So I'm really excited to see it so early on. And you've said in previous interviews that often the songs that you write the quickest are sometimes the best because you're trusting your instincts. But you all write from such a personal place. And that wordplay is so clever with the juxtaposition between these serious themes and topics, but told with so much hope. Do you go into a session knowing what you want to write about, or do you just let it happen organically? What's been that song in your catalog that exemplifies trusting your instincts?
Oh, great question. I think it's a bit of both. Like Theo and I often just sit together, and we're doing a thing at the moment where we try and write a song a day, or even just an idea a day. And sometimes like we said, the really quick ones are the magic. And when it comes to the lyrical content, sometimes we're both feeling something, or one of us is, and we'll explore that. Or other days we'll just be like, "Hey, I read this thing in the paper, and it was kind of inspiring, or sad, or amazing," and we use that as a focus point. But in terms of a song, God, that's a really good question. Maybe like, I mean, Anything Can Happen, obviously, is such a personal song. And that was amazing because it was a time in my life where I felt I was incredibly depressed. I don't think I was so aware of it even.
Mm.
until I started writing that song, and then I told Theo about how I was feeling, and he took my feelings and turned it into this lyric, which perfectly represented that. And that was like I was like, wow, this is one of the coolest things we've ever done. Even at the time, we weren't sure if people would like that song, but it was very real, and I think that's definitely worked for us. Theo's
Yeah.
quite good at taking how I feel, even because he's my brother. I think he knows me
Yeah.
better than I do sometimes. So yeah, he's very good at that.
Yeah, I think I find we find the more cathartic a song is to write, the more it'll connect with people.
Mm.
Mm. Yeah, you have a background in writing, right? Was it screenwriting, script writing?
Yeah, yeah, I did script writing for a while.
I feel like
Doing
that's,
bits of both.
yeah, why you've been able to write such vivid lyrics. And I think as a band, the three of you are so vulnerable in your songwriting because of that vulnerability. Like you were just saying, you're able to make such a connection with listeners, and there's such a healing quality to the lyrics. I really think it's music that can save lives. I know for myself, like you were just saying, anything can happen. I found that song during like a rough season, and it was everything that you needed to hear during that time. How have you been able to toe that line so seamlessly between creating music that's so personal but also so universal? And what is it like getting to see your words resonate on such a global scale?
Uh, I love your questions. Every question is so good. I think in terms of it's hard. I don't think we ever deliberately try and write a song that we think everyone can relate to. But I think this has become our personal experience. Is the more honest we are with our music, weirdly, the more people resonate with it. And when you talk about, even if it's like a breakup, and you say pick something that happens to you that's so specific, but for some reason millions of people around the world have also experienced that specific thing. So I mean, that's kind of been one of our mission statements now when we're writing, is to just be very honest. But seeing it connect around the world is I it's hard to put it into words how much that means, and it's a beautiful thing to meet these people and hear these stories of how these songs have helped them and been there for them when they've been having a tough time, or even some of the happier songs when they're celebrating love or something. It's like, this is so cool, and it really is one of the main reasons we do this, is to connect with people, because that's such a gift of life. We love human beings, so it's probably one of the coolest jobs out there.
This is going to be a strange question, and I love to hear if both your answers are the same. But of all of the music that you've released so far, if you had to select one song that best encompasses who you are as a band, which would it be and why?
Mm.
Oh, it's a band. Um, for me, I think I'd choose the song Miracle. Um, because I mean, the song itself, just like sonically, and the kind of journey we went on to get there with the new sound, very much feels like who we are as a band right now, specifically. But then also just in terms of the content lyrically and what the story is, Miracle is all about our journey in music and kind of
Mm,
chasing this desire that's inside of you and this art that you want to get out, but not really understanding how to do it or the path to take, and not even realizing truly how long it would take to do that. Um, so yeah, Miracle is kind of like for me our
Mm,
band's
mm.
mantra ultimately. Like it,
Anthem.
yeah, it feels like our song.
Yeah, that's a great. I would definitely agree with Theo on that. I mean, if I had to pick another song just to be on the other side of the fence, I'd probably pick something like Only for You, because it's an interesting one with this band. Like, something I think we're lucky and we do well, and we often forget, is we can just strip something back to a guitar and our three voices, and it's still really meaningful. And to be fair, I mean, you obviously been at a show. When we strip things back, like, the fans love it even more sometimes, and it's just that it can make a real moment. So that I love that song. We wrote that one in about 20-30 minutes, and
mm.
we weren't sure if people would like it. We put up that one clip and it started to go really viral, and we're like, okay, this is, people want this sort of thing. So I think that's two great sides of tours. Miracle and Only for You is, yeah, they're good choices.
I love that the music that you all have released can be played in kind of those bigger arenas and also in these like really intimate settings. And you're also a band that thrives on that live stage. How much do you use that environment to test out new material?
Quite a lot,
Yeah,
don't
all
we?
the time.
Yeah, we really do. It's that, we feel so lucky with our fan base and following, that it's such a safe room. Like, the environment, our fans are
Yeah.
just so wonderful. It's like amazing community of people. So even though they want to hear the songs we've released because they like to sing along, you know, we'll always sneak one, if not two, brand new things into a set and just see. And it's so much fun to watch people either try and immediately start singing along or dancing, and you're like, okay, this feels like it's got something. And if they don't react, we're like, right, straight out the set.
But even in that kind of touring environment as well, like in terms of like the creative process, a lot of songwriting will happen in the sound check when we're on the stage, and I think Matt's feeling the environment and feeling the room, and you're in that position that you're about to perform in. So that's influenced quite a few songs we're actually writing and working on at the minute. I've got a lot of voice notes on my phone, sort of recorded from stage pre-show.
That it's like get your creative juices flowing. And speaking of like being able to perform in both like intimate settings and bigger arenas, is that something that you're mindful of during that songwriting process?
Good question. Sometimes maybe, but also not, because I'll give you a good example. I mean, we always want every song to like translate everywhere. And the dream is, like, if we're being honest, we want to sell out arenas, like big stadium shows. Like, that's such a dream of ours. But you know, if you take a song like Only for You, it's so vulnerable. And I remember one of the first times we played it in an arena, played in Zurich to 15,000 people, and the song starts with just me and a guitar. And I remember like feeling so like, oh my God, like I could pass out right now. This is so intense. So I hadn't written that song for that environment, but it really connected and it was a really special moment. So I think sometimes you'd be surprised at the ones that land well in a bigger room. And again, in a smaller room, sometimes the bigger sound, people just really get into that energy.
I feel like that crowd in New York was singing back every single song to you all. It was
Crazy.
wild, and everybody was like packed to the brim. You know, as your catalog continues to grow and you continue to tour, is there a song that will always make your set list? Is there one that never will?
Oh,
Oh,
wow. One that will always make it. That's a great question.
that's so hard. I tell you, the song that people sang back the loudest on that tour, I think it was a toss-up between two, but I think the one they sang the loudest in general was probably "Does He Make You Happy?" Which really surprised us because I mean that's quite and like that's a wordy song. That's a chorus that has so many words, and they were singing all of them back. So that was super interesting to hear that because that's one for us that we love, but I never see as like a sing-along song. But apparently it was, which was great. I don't.
One that will always be. I think I'd have to pick Miracle.
Yeah.
Because for some reason, when we drop, every time we play that, it just people seem so happy. I mean, it's a song about hope, so it's a nice thing to have in a set where we're like, come on, you know, you're chasing your dreams. That would definitely, for me, always stay in the set.
Yeah.
One that wouldn't.
I tell you what have we not played live? Or I've only played live a couple of times. I mean, might never happen is a very old song of ours that I think we played maybe once or twice on stage.
Fans love it, but we never played it really hard.
There are definitely some we've never played. We've never played "Love Me Back" live.
Yeah. There
On
was
stage.
some of the older stuff we released during lockdown when we were just writing and releasing. Like,
And then we just like to end all of our our interviews with a pop culture speed round. Is there a band or artist that fans would be surprised to learn is on each of your playlists?
Yeah, okay, that's what I think. That they'd be surprised to learn.
Surprised.
I mean, we're both big fans of the Gypsy Kings. I don't know if that's probably not reflected in our music that much. Big fans of theirs.
So that's a really
the
good.
surprising element.
I like Lainey Wilson, country artist.
Yeah, we love a lot of
country
music.
music. That's big on our playlists, and a lot of like great pops. I mean, I have Gracie Abrams, like insane voice.
They might be surprised to hear that before we go on stage, every time we listen to Kiss,
Yeah,
we play "God Gave Rock and Roll."
yeah, that's our pre-show song.
That's our one of our pre-show songs. Yeah, I don't know. We listen to any heavier stuff, I guess. Probably not too much of that.
No, we're pretty
Pretty
obvious.
Pretty obvious dudes.
You could guess our top 5 pretty easily.
Yeah.
You guys have a good pre-show routine going. What about this is probably the same answer for both of you, but what is the first album that you ever bought or streamed?
Oh no, it'd be different, I reckon.
I thought mine was The Offspring.
Hell yeah.
And it was such a wild record. I mean, some great pop melodies, but also just so crazy and nothing like I would play, but I remember just loving it. and I had a skateboard, and I thought I was really cool, and I wasn't.
So the first like showing my age, but you used to be able to buy singles, like CD singles. So the first single I ever bought was that Shaggy "It Wasn't Me" song
Mm.
tune. The first album I ever bought was there's a band called Doves, and it's an album called Last Broadcast. And it's actually an album I still love today. I think it's
It's an amazing
fantastic.
record.
Songs like "There Goes the Fear" on there and stuff like that.
As soon as you said Shaggy, Kevin immediately judged you and was like, I don't like that guy anymore.
It's the
No, I
song
love
though.
that song. It's such a good
Yeah.
throwback.
It wasn't me. Yeah, what a banger.
Watching.
Yeah. What about the first concert you ever attended?
Oh,
Wow. So I think the first one that really stayed with me. ah, There's two, but there's a guy called David Gray. I don't know if you know him. This is love and never. That I remember going and watch him at this place called the Roundhouse in London, and it was just him and a piano for a lot of it, and he had 5,500 people just in the palm of his hands, and I was like, wow, like that's inspiring. That stuck with me.
I'm trying to think of like who the first. That's really hard. The first concert. I'm trying to think of what that could be. Well, there used to be a thing called NME Night where we live in Exeter, and they do it in a small little venue called the Hub. They used to be there, and there was amazing acts who used to come there. I saw like Cage the Elephant played there years and years and years ago, and that was amazing. It was like 150 people, and just them losing it on stage. That was very cool. The first like big concert was probably Razorlight.
Yeah, we went to Raise Light together.
That was awesome.
That was a cool moment.
What about an album that changed your life and why?
For me, like Rush of Blood to the Head by Coldplay, probably like one of the most influential albums, especially in terms of musically, like for the band. It's just for me, it's like the perfect record. It's got everything. It's got emotion. It's got energy. It sounds raw. It sounds real.
The mixing on it is
It's
amazing.
just beautiful songs. You know, it makes you cry, but it makes you like angry, and it's just everything. Like we were very lucky. We grew up obviously with brothers. Our dad and mum, like we'd sit and have dinner. They make us eat dinner at the table with them every night, and they play a lot of records, which was lovely. At the time, we used to get annoyed, but now when we look back, we're like, that was really cool. And we grew up listening to such a variety of things. Like Nick Drake, who's this incredible British singer-songwriter, or the Beatles,
Paul Simon,
Paul Simon,
Gypsy
Kings.
Kings.
You know, we've had such a wild like influence of music. But for me, Rush of Blood to the Head changed how I am as an artist.
Yeah, and then for me, I would say it's got to be definitely maybe Oasis album. Yeah, it's. I mean, it's just again.
Oh, and of course, Shaggy. It wasn't
start
me.
to finish. Stunning album, and of course, Shaggy. It wasn't me. Who's the guy he does it with? Who's
I
the
don't
singer on
know,
it?
but we should get him to feature on our song.
That should also be part of your pre-show routine.
Yeah,
Listening to
you know
Shaggy.
what? I think we're gonna
That's
add that
a
in.
great shout.
Maybe we should do an
Rita-
acoustic cover
Oh, you should.
on stage.
We were speaking about touring earlier. Is there a venue on each of your bucket lists to perform at?
Yeah, I think we both have kind of the same. Like in America, we really want to do Red Rocks.
Yeah.
It's like such an iconic venue. We've watched so many live shows from bands there, and it's like that's a special place. And then I mean, our big dream would be to do Wembley Stadium one day, because it's Wembley Stadium. It's iconic. It's so cool. We've watched so many great bands play there, and yeah, those two are like the pinnacle. And to be fair, MSG like that would be pretty special.
And the Sphere.
Oh yeah, okay. There's quite a lot. You shouldn't have asked. There's a lot. But we can keep going.
I feel like Red Rocks is like the perfect venue for this band. I think that would be an incredible.
Kevin, you're
place
trying
to
to
see
say
all
that
live.
that's our peak. We can only reach. You're like, look, only dream.
No,
Red
it'll
Rocks guys,
happen.
you won't ever go to.
If you tour Red Rocks, I'm flying out to see that show.
Oh, yeah.
But final question for the two of you: when you're on the road, what's a must-have?
Ooh, I love that. I would say my running shoes, because I just need like 20 to 30 minutes in the morning to like clear my head and have a bit of space, and that definitely helps me feel good.
I would say my
It's
own.
your CD of Shaggy. It wasn't
me. Bringing my own pillow from home.
That's a very good shout.
That's a definite
Yeah.
tour hack.